obviously security getting ready for the procession up the Mall to Buckingham Palace, and we're seeing more and more of these processions of security, of police get in place over the last hour or so behind us.
It is enormous. There's basically two rings of police now, one in front of the crowd and one at the rear of the crowd, a bit elevated to see over the top. So you see the police facing into the crowd, and they're every 6-7 paces between each other. Many representatives from police forces from Commonwealth nations are taking up their place alongside their English counterparts and the bobbies with their distinctive hats. But then at the back of the crowd, there's an equal ring overlooking them at the top. The security has stepped up quite a few notches, hasn't it? We've got the observers on the roof of the palace, the snipers on the top of the palace. It is certainly all getting in readiness, isn't it?
Exactly. So the London Bobbies have spread out every 5 or so metres in formation right up the Mall. And if we take those wide shots, it's a huge area. And then we've talked to some of, there we go, isn't that magnificent? It's just beautiful. And then we've talked to some of the security in place. Some of those police forces are from the Cayman Islands, from the British Virgin Islands. 10,000 is the number of security and police in place for this event. It is just enormous.
And they're just still coming in droves, so you can probably see us here just in our spot, the two rows about 10 metres apart, facing each other. So it's really big.
Yeah. Just 2 hours or so before the procession, before the casket leaves at Westminster Hall and goes across to Westminster Abbey, and then the actual funeral service proper starts at 11 o'clock local time. Victoria Arbiter, let's talk to you, because you have been in that Abbey at one of these enormous worldwide events, Princess Diana's funeral. What's happening now?
Yes, so 25 years ago I did attend the funeral service for Diana, Princess of Wales, which was held at Westminster Abbey. She was given a royal funeral. It was an extraordinary experience to be inside. I was among those that had to be there very, very early. You arrive in tears, your level of importance shown with the later you arrive. Once we were inside, it was incredibly somber, very quiet. The mood was definitely one of reflection, but also the sense of anticipation. And what I remember so clearly from that day was the moment Diana's procession left Kensington Palace. For each minute of the procession, the minute bell tolled, and it was quite foreboding to be sitting in the Abbey listening to the minute bell at every minute of the funeral procession. Ahead of the Queen's funeral today, we will hear the bells chime 96 times, one for each year of the Queen's life. And I think for those people seated inside the Abbey, they'll have that same sense of anticipation.
Right. So every invitation obviously has a seat and needs to be directed by the ushers at the start. The heads of state are yet to come. They're there really early. From a let's call it a practical point of view, are there facilities for a comfort stop? You're going to be in there 3.5 hours.
It's a good question, Koshi. Now, I can only speak to my experience from Diana's funeral, which was 25 years ago. It's possible things have changed. But once we were in our seats, we were not permitted to move for a number of reasons.
Wow.
Obviously, they would like everyone to be as comfortable as possible. But once you're seated, there are many people that are seated around you, the security that is involved in this, but also having to move people around. So once you're in your seat, if you're then leaving and then having to come back again, it starts to become quite a hullabaloo in terms of just navigating just that many people. So it's possible it's a different scenario today, but we were certainly in the Abbey for a good 2.5 hours prior to Diana's actual funeral, and once we were seated, we were not allowed to move.
You'd have to watch your water intake leading up to it, wouldn't you?